Hi there. We're continuing our journey through the Psalms, the Tehillim, that means the praises in Hebrew. We're in Psalm 106, that's in the Hebrew lettering numeral system Kuf Vav, and Kuf means 100 and Vav is the letter for 6. And we're looking at verses 13 to 31. So we've already seen that this is a psalm that really looks at the faithfulness of God compared to the waywardness of Israel, and particularly in the encounter with God in the desert and in bringing them into the promised land. And so it says that having believed God and having sung his praise when he brought them through the Red Sea, in verse 13 it says they forgot his ways, they forgot what he'd done, and they forgot the counsel that he brought them. And they started to moan and complain, and they wanted food in the desert. God gave them the request that they'd asked for, but it says something interesting. He gave them razon benafsham. He gave them leanness, paucity, scarcity in their beings. Even though they had food to eat, there was a meanness in their spirit. That's perhaps what razon would mean. And that mean that there was something about them that was set against God. They envied Moses. They envied Aaron, called the HaKodesh Adonai, the Holy One of the Lord, the Saint of the Lord. And then there was a terrible situation of Nathan Nabi, who offering false fire, the ground opening up and swallowing them, and this constant theme of rebelling against God. It says as well that they made the famous situation of making of the golden calf while Moses is up the mountain. And it says in verse 20, they traded in their glory, kvodam, they traded in all the weight of God's presence for the image of a grass-eating bullock, a grass-eating ox. A shore is the word in Hebrew. Shore is an ox or a bullock. And that they bowed down, instead of recognizing the glory of God, they gave themselves to worshipping this foolish image, and they forgot God, who had done amazing things for them by bringing them out of Egypt. And God actually at this point was about to destroy them. Remember the story that God was going to bring Israel to an end and was going to preserve Moses and make Moses the beginning of a new nation. But Moses interceded for them and they were rescued from that. Moses said, "Don't do that, God, because then the Egyptians will think that you just brought us out into this land to destroy us." And then there's also in verse 28, there's the terrible situation where Israel came into contact with the Moabites at Baal Peor, and they started giving them to their idols and their images. They were seduced basically by the fact that there were sexual rituals going on that they were drawn into. They were drawn into the practice of them, and all this is just saying how disobedient, how wayward they were. That occurrence at Baal Peor led to Pinchas standing up, and many of them were slain. Many of them were brought down because of their disobedience, and therefore God is really struggling with Israel. But all through this psalm, the song we're remembering, is the fact that God is faithful to his covenant, even though his people are unfaithful. We obviously now have the blessing of the sacrifice of Jesus, who has taken his sin upon us, who has made an end of sin for us. And we are encouraged not to be like Israel, not to be hard-hearted, to turn against God, but to give ourselves wholeheartedly to him. And this psalm is really an encouragement not to fall into that trap, not to fall into those same ways of worshipping other things beside God. Let's keep him number one. Let's keep him the holy God, the unrivaled God that he undoubtedly is. Have a good day.